Thank you so much. Hey, Ohana. Welcome to your fresh flow for the day. My name is Devon. We are going to use 2 blocks for today's practice for extra support. And this will be our third, I believe, version, our third take on a low back class. So we'll spend the next 20 minutes or so just getting into some low back support. This is something that I'm super passionate about bringing into our practice, ways to just increase longevity of our spine. And so the key to remember as we move throughout this practice is that low back stability comes from strong glutes and a strong core. It does not come from stretching the low back, right? So when we have this low back tenderness and pain and sensitivity, best to avoid stretching the low back. What we really want to do is bring in all the support we possibly can find. And so that's what this class will be about. So it's great for, after a long day of sitting, and it's great for if you're in pain. These exercises are something that can be really supportive, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna have you start on your back. So as you lie back, bend your knees. Bring your feet in, hip-width distance apart. And then I want you to take your hands, put your palms down on the floor, and slide your fingertips underneath your low back space. So it's that space where your low back kind of peels up off of the floor. Your fingertips should touch somewhere underneath your spine. So now what I want you to do is I want you to experiment with engaging your core. This doesn't mean sucking your six-pack down. It means basically stiffening your core as if you were to hold a sneeze or cough. And you might even cough a little bit just to get that sensation of bracing in the abdominals. Engage your core in that fashion, so stiffening, and notice how your low back does not press back into the backs of your hands, right? So when you engage the core this way, everything stays in place, yet your core is really solid and compact. It does make it a little bit hard to breathe, so you'll want to focus on inflating the tops of your lungs instead of big belly breaths. Holding the brace and stability of your belly, I want you to take your right leg up to the ceiling. And you'll notice that as we find some movements, it'll be a little bit harder to engage the core in this way without compressing the back into the hands, but that's the work for us to do here. Now, keeping the stiffness of your core, I want you to lower your right leg down to hover off of the mat. And then as you exhale, lift your leg back up. Good, keep going like that. So inhale and lowering. Exhale, lifting. And then just kind of going back and forth between the two, keeping your awareness on your low back space and the stiffness of your midsection. So we're getting the core to activate in a way that's extremely supportive and nourishing of the low back. Let's go one more lower and one more lift. Good. Set your right foot down and we'll simply switch. So your left toes go up to the ceiling. Then as you inhale, you'll lower your foot down. So you don't want your spine or your back moving at all off of your hands or into your hands. Lower, stiffen through your belly the whole time, and exhale, lift. Good. So as you're moving the leg up and down, I just want you to, again, feel into the stiffness of your core. It takes a lot of focus and a lot of engagement, right, to brace the belly like this, but it's extremely supportive. Go one more time, lower, and one more time, lift. Bend your knee, set your foot down. Remove your hands and take them down beside you. So from here, we're gonna work into some glute engagers. So this will help kind of hug in the sacrum and the low spine. Take your right ankle, cross it over your left knee like a figure four, arms down, press into the ground, and lift your hips up off of the mat. So as you lift your hips, you'll notice there's some opening in the front of the pelvis. Should feel pretty good. I want you to drive through the left heel and squeeze your left seat in tight. Inhale, lower your hips to tap the ground. Exhale, lift. Lower, drive through the left heel and lift. Good, keep going for a few more reps. You just really want to feel the left seat squeezing in to elevate the pelvis. Last time, lower. Last time, lift. Hold it. Take your right leg and send it straight up to the ceiling. Good. Keeping your right toes up, lower your left hip down to hover. Exhale, lift. Good. 4 more times. You'll start to feel the heat burn a little bit more in the left seat, and that's exactly what we're wanting. 2 times. Good. Last time, lift and hold it. Bend your right knee in towards your belly, keeping your hips lifted. Drive your right foot straight forward. Bend your knee back in. Exhale, kick forward. Bring it in. Last time, kick forward. Bend your knee and set your foot down. Switching sides, left ankle on top of your right knee. Lift your hips and open into the front of your left leg. Now you'll lower your pelvis towards the ground. Exhale, you lift. Good. Starting to warm up the right seat. Remember that you're driving through the right heel to find the lift of the hips for 2. And for 1, hold the lift, left leg up to the ceiling. You're pushing through the right heel and hugging the right seat up and in. Lower to hover. And exhale, lift. So is this yoga? Yeah, it really is, right? This is a bridge variation. We're using these exercises as layers of our yoga practice to really create a sense of support and longevity in the body. Last time, hold the lift, bend your left knee, and exhale, drive the leg forward. Knee to chest, exhale, drive forward. Last time, knee in, and set it down. Bridge pose, last time here. So your glutes should be nice and engaged. Lift your hips off of the floor. If you want, you can tuck your shoulders underneath you for 3 breaths. Engage your seat so much that you can lengthen your tailbone down your hamstrings a little bit. Last in breath. And exhale super slowly. Come down to your back. Now, when the low back is feeling sensitive, we don't want to round it at all. So you'll roll over to the side for a fetal position. Then you'll press all the way up and come into a tabletop position. Tabletop position. Hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Stretch your right toes back against the floor. Hover your right heel. Take your hand to your core for a moment and feel that same stiffness that we talked about when we were belly up at the start of class. Now take your left arm forward. 1 inhale to stretch longer. As you exhale, pull your right knee towards your right wrist, but stop before your spine rounds. Reach back with your left hand and tap your thigh. 2 more times. Inhale, lengthen. From a stiff core, exhale, tap. Last time, inhale, reach out. Exhale, bring it in. Left hand down, right leg back. Flex your toes against the floor, and then simply move your right leg as far to the right as it will go without letting the foot drop for 5. Drive through the heel for 4. From the side of your seat, you're lifting for 2. And come back, tabletop position, switching sides. Send your left leg back behind you. Then lift it up off the floor. Use your right arm to hug your abdominals up and in and feel that stiffening as if you were holding a sneeze. Right arm stretches forward, just like before. Left knee forward, stop before the spine rounds. Reach back and tap your right hand. Good, extend. And bring it in. Last time, inhale, stretch. And exhale, bring it in. Right hand down, left leg back. Flex your toes down to the ground. Move your left leg to the side as far as you can without lowering the foot for 5. Keep your spine long for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back to tabletop position. So already at this point, we're feeling a sense of stability, I'm hoping, in the pelvis, right? It's kind of like this nice little nurturing basket holding our low back and sacrum in place, okay? Now we're going to do a little bit more to bring support in through the core. Come into downward facing dog. Tuck your toes underneath so that your heels can weigh heavily toward the ground. Bring a soft bend to your knees, or maybe even a deep bend to get your hips even higher. Take a breath in, and a full breath out. Good, another time, breathe in, and breathe out. Your right leg lifts up to the sky. So I'm going to teach you how to come into a low lunge without rounding your back. Right leg comes up as high as you can. Keep your hips neutral. And now bring your knee towards your chest, but stop before your spine rounds, just like we did in tabletop. Set your right knee down where it is, left knee down. Walk back so you're sitting on your heels. Hands to your butt, engage your glutes to pick up your hips. Good. So you should really feel that in the lower half. Right foot steps forward, tuck your left toes underneath, and lift into a full crescent lunge. So we're in our crescent lunge here. Bend your back knee so that you feel really spacious in your low back. Good. You can drive the right shin bone a little bit farther forward. Arms reach up to the sky. So we get in this mode of thinking that we need these long, straight, perfect lines in the practice, and it's just really not true. So the bend in the back knee is absolutely excellent, and you're getting a lot more strength in the left quad this way. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, airplane arms. Hinge your body forward. This is a great opportunity for you to take your hands to your side bodies and feel the stiffening of your core. You can feel it as you puff out. Arms reach back behind you. Pinky fingers hug closer together. Good. Now, moving from your back heel first, open into a warrior 2, and I'll turn to face you. Warrior 2, your stance is really long. Bend your right knee forward and slightly open. So everything is pretty great and compact here in Warrior 2. So just give yourself a couple moments to enjoy. Breathe deeply into your body. Relax your shoulders. Feel yourself taking up space. 1 inhale. Now as you exhale, take your right hand to your right hip crease. Push your hips back to deepen the hinge of your lunge. Left hand comes to your left side body, and you lean into your extended side, but we'll stay like this with the arms. I want you to feel the stiffness of your left side body and cough if you need to. Okay, so if you were to release your hands, nothing would change because your core is so fully engaged. Stay with it. You want to up level, you can reach your right arm forward, bend deeper into that right knee. Exhale your breath. And reverse warrior. Now for reverse warrior, your left hand comes to your right side body. I want you to think about closing your right ribs as you reach up and back. You won't go very far. So we're engaging the right side body and we're stretching up and back. Take 1 inhale. Okay, as you exhale, lift your back heel up. Turn forward into a crescent lunge. Set your left knee down. Good. Set your right knee down. This time your thighs do the work as you slowly lower hips to heels. Walk forward into high plank. Knees come off the ground. Chaturanga, come halfway down. Press back up to a high plank on the inhale. And exhale, downward facing dog. Bend knees, hips back, drive through your palms. So what we just did there was a sun B sequence that did not entail rounding the low back at all, which means it's really friendly for low back pain and instability. Let's try it on the second side. Lift your left leg high. Remember, we're doing this step through very differently. On your exhale, pull your knee forward. Stop before your spine rounds. So it's like plank with the left knee pulling in. Left knee comes down, right knee comes down. Walk your hips back to your heels, hands to your seat. Use your glutes to rise. Step your left foot forward. All right toes tuck under. Inhale, crescent lunge variation. Remember that your back knee is bent pretty deeply here. And no one cares because this is so much more about the extension of your spine and the engagement of your core. Okay, so we start to really feel that bracing of the abdominals here for a breath. Exhale, airplane torso, hinge it forward. Now you're okay to straighten the back leg because your low spine is still long. Hands to side bodies, stiffen your core, feel the stiffness, check yourself, and then reach your arms back to hug together. Everything out. Moving from the right foot first, warrior two. Open up your stance. And we want to move with the feet always first, then the pelvis turns, right? It's a more friendly way to move the body in space. Connect with your breath a moment. Move your left fingertips into your left hip crease. Push your hips back manually. You'll feel your torso lean forward. And now right hand comes to your right side core to feel for engagement and remind yourself engagement, right? So usually we're here in extended side angle and the bottom arm is doing all the work if we're being honest. This variation, the core is actually very much involved. You've got a deep hip hinge, which means you're still creating plenty of space. If you want to up level, left arm reaches forward for the last breath. And we move that into reverse warrior. Remember, right hand to left side body. Close the ribs as you reach back. And it means you won't go very far, but your core will be engaged. Right? Practicing this way changed my core strength in a matter of weeks. Right? And now from here, lift your back heel. Turn back into crescent lunge with your right knee bent. Lower down slowly. Left knee comes down to meet the right. Hips slowly to the heels. Now on an inhale, pop forward into plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, high plank. And exhale, downward facing dog. Take 3 rounds of breath. Soften your eyes and notice how you feel. Slowly come down to your knees. Find your seat, send your legs out in front of you. If you're really feeling the back pain, come onto your side first, and then roll onto your back side. I'm going to teach you how to do a supine twist. That's not really a supine twist at all. So you can still participate in this pose without kind of jeopardizing the low back even more. Pull your right knee in around your rib cage towards your armpit. So we should already feel pretty familiar with this step. And we'll pause for a moment to find some nice compression. And then from here, with your left hand, take your right knee over to the left, but stop as soon as you reach midline. And as soon as you feel just the slightest bit of opening in the outer right hip, your right back hip should stay glued to the mat. So we're not picking up the low back to twist. We're just carrying the knee over until it stops. And what we're doing here is we're opening up some nice space, subtle space in the piriformis and outer hip. Relax the back of your head onto the floor. This is much, much more of a subtle sensation than your classic supine twist. That doesn't mean it's worse. It doesn't mean it's less valuable. A lot of times in this yoga practice, we have trained ourselves to base value off of intensity. And all that really is a distraction from what the practice is really about, which is actually subtlety. Come back to center. Right foot comes down, left knee in, then extend your right leg. Pause to find compression, left knee towards your left armpit. And then gently with your right hand, carry your left knee towards the right until it stops, without allowing your left hip to leave the floor. So what happens when you keep the back left hip rooted, but pull the left knee over, is you open up a very gentle, subtle stretch in the outer left hip. It's almost like 5% of a half pigeon. These yogic practices, any yogic practice, any kind of yoga, whether it's hatha yoga, kriya yoga, they're all designed to refine our awareness so that we can detect subtlety. So allow the subtlety of this stretch to refine you. And come back to center. Put your left foot down on the floor. Stretch your leg forward and find yourself in Savasana. Open your arms out wide. Let your feet fall open. Sink into the backside of your body. Our bodies are always changing. Sometimes with an active lifestyle, our bodies experience pain and discomfort. And these are our ways of communing with our body. Instead of forcing our body into yesterday's routine, yesterday's expectation, we allow discomfort, pain, or injury to be a stimulus to create something new. And there's infinite potential in yoga to adapt. I'll leave you here in Shavasana. Please give yourself time. If you need more time, just rest for as long as you have. If you need to move forward, close your practice in a way that feels good to you. Thanks for sharing this window of time with me. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time. Namaste.